네, 앞서 보신 것처럼 힌츠페터 국제보도상 수상자들이 광주를 찾았는데요. 오늘 스튜디오에는 뉴스 부문에서 수상을 한 아담 데지데리오 기자와 함께 이야기 나눠보겠습니다. 어서 오세요. 먼저 수상을 축하드립니다. 광주 처음 방문이실 텐데 이 도시의 느낌 어떻습니까?
It's very special to be here. I mean, we're here for such a special occasion. My first time in Korea. It's my first time in Gwangju. Obviously, we arrived this morning by train, and it was just beautiful to see the countryside as we rode here. And we just actually came from a ceremony for the May 18th uprising, and it was just very touching to be there. So I'm having a very special time here.
출품하신 이 바흐무트 전투가 뉴스 부문의 수상작으로 선정이 됐습니다. 어떤 내용의 보도였는지 좀 설명을 부탁드리겠습니다.
So the Battle of Bakhmut is a short documentary for Vice News that I reported alongside my correspondent Ben Solomon and our local producer, Ukrainian producer Julia Kochetova. And it's our story about a city in eastern Ukraine called Bakhmut. And Bakhmut became kind of the focal point of the war last year. There was a 10-month-long campaign to take the city. It was a very strategically not very important city, but it was a place where it saw the deadliest fighting of the war. So many people died there. So many civilians were trapped there. And so our story tells the story of not just the city itself, but the people that remained, the civilians that remained there to hold on to their homeland, and the people that basically risked their lives to try to protect the city from the Russian advance.
실제로 우크라이나 국제군단 전투에 동행 취재를 하셨는데 위험한 순간들도 많았을 것 같습니다.
There were. I mean, in any conflict zone, in any war, it's dangerous. We embedded with military units inside the city on the front lines, and we lived alongside them. We spent multiple nights overnight with them while they were carrying out missions on the front line, and there were a few moments that got pretty intense. I mean, we were spotted by Russian drones, and so we were in places that took a lot of attacks, a lot of bombardment, and we had to protect ourselves. But I mean, luckily, we made it out. But I think also I want to highlight that as much as the danger that we put ourselves in, the people, the civilians, the Ukrainian civilians, the Ukrainian military that were fighting there, they obviously went through so much worse.
Okay. 그리고 전쟁터에서 또 만난 사람들 중에서 좀 기억에 남는 사람들도 있을 것 같은데요.
So everybody that we met, I think, touched us in their own way, but who comes to mind is the Ogniva family. So in our story, we featured a family, Sonia Ogniva and her parents. Sonia is a little girl, and her parents decided to stay inside the city. And we spent a lot of time with them. And every night they would live in a bunker underneath their apartment. There was no running water. There was no electricity. But they had so much pride, and they wanted to stay, and they chose to stay. I also think about the firefighters that we featured. There was constant Russian bombardment of the city. But these firefighters that lived inside the firehouse, they left their families, they sent their families outside, but they stayed behind to put out the fires. And it was just remarkable to see their work day in and day out to try to keep the city functioning.
또 전쟁의 참상을 직접 목격한 기자로서 또 전달하고 싶은 하나의 메시지가 있다면 어떤 게 있을까요?
That there's a very serious cost to waging war. And that's what I'd like to say with our story is that if this is what's going to happen, you have to look at the impact on real people. And that's why we wanted to spend so much time on the ground and tell the story of the people of Bakhmut.
마지막으로 이번 수상작이 힌츠페터 정신과 부합하다 이런 평가를 받았는데 어떤 부분에서 이런 의미가 있었다고 보시나요?
Well, I'm learning so much about Mr. Hintzpeter by being here. We were just at a ceremony for him at his monument, and you know, he obviously made the greatest sacrifice to expose truth. He put himself in a very dangerous situation in order to do that. You know, I'm from New York, but you know, I traveled to Ukraine to tell the story. I think it's important, and I think it's in the spirit of Mr. Hintzpeter to do that, to tell the people's story, to put yourself on the front line, to make sure that truth gets out.
Okay. 지금까지 힌츠페터 국제보도상 수상자 아담 데지데리오 기자와 함께했습니다. 고맙습니다.